Hello and welcome to Unacademy, the one-stop solution for an English medium civil services aspirant. Now, today is a very special day. It's basically the new year for every UPSC civil services aspirant because finally the notification is here. Now, this does two things. First, the countdown is on now. And second, we have certain things to understand. And the most important part, which is form filling, is now in front of you. You have to make sure that you don't mess up this part because the form will stay with you till the end of your journey when it comes to UPSC. And with one-time registration, OTR, it is even more important that you pay attention, and that is why we are here. I'm here to make sure that you don't mess up this process and you fill it up the way you want to with all correct details. We'll talk about vacancies, we'll talk about the eligibility, we'll talk about the changes which have been made, and basically I will give you step-by-step way of filling the form up. So, good afternoon to everybody. A very important moment for all of us now. Now, before we begin, there's a very important announcement because we also understand that now the countdown is on, the war is on, and that is why we are now launching what is called Conquer Prelims. This is a comprehensive program for 2024 under Conquer Prelims, which is quite fitting to the way we have to conquer this dream. We have three very important initiatives which are coming to you very, very soon, free on YouTube, and the dates will be communicated to you in the due process. First is called Prelims Fundamentals. And this is the first time we're introducing this concept to you, and that way we were waiting for the notification. It is very fitting that we can do it right now. Prelims Fundamentals is basically 100 topics. 100 topics taken by all top educators. What we will do is we will cover prelims oriented static topics which are very, very important on YouTube for free so that you can revise here itself. First. Second, then we will have what is called a previous year question marathon. In this, we will cover 10 years of paper, and for every subject we'll have a marathon session, 6 to 8 hours, in which we'll cover all the questions, and you can join us again free on YouTube for that. You just have to subscribe to our channel to get access to any of these things. And last but not the least, the most awaited and the most asked for, which is the current affairs crash course, which is basically going to happen in mid-April. We'll communicate to you the exact details and the exact date itself. And in this, we will be covering current affairs oriented, what we call as material as form of MCQ. And we will have 2 to 3 sessions. For example, art and cultures, 2 sessions, 60 to 70 questions. I will take with you. I will basically revise current affairs. So you can see we are doing static here. We are doing previous year questions here. And we are doing current affairs here. Now, what more do you need? That is the basic point. If you have done your part, we are doing our part, which is to make sure we revise for prelims. We have a marathon with regards to previous year questions. You're up to date with that also. And last but not the least, the current affairs part, the problematic part. So just subscribe. Don't think about it. With Sarmat sir, with Shyam sir, with Chetan sir, with me, with Hima Bindu ma'am, with Mukesh sir and Astha ma'am, we will make sure that in your first attempt, you clear in 2024 itself. And with this, we also have very interesting things for you. First thing, that on 13th February itself, the polity batch had already started. And I hope that you're joining sir every day 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. And because you are a loyal student to us, you are our beloved student, we also have a very important offer for you, which is if you join right now, if you call this number 8585858585, which is 5 times 85, 50% off plus 6 months free extension for the English course. And the beauty of the course itself is if you take it for English, you get access to all the batches when it comes to Hindi, English and English itself. And I hope that you will join us very soon. The first change after this is Modern India, and right now polity has been started by Sarmat sir, and I hope that you're joining him. So 3 very important announcements for you. First, this offer. Second, that we're already started our online classroom program. Third, which is the most important, which is the Conquer Prelims 2024. Now, once I have established this to you, let's understand why are we here? In the next 35-40 minutes, I want to discuss the notification with you properly, and this is a very important juncture for everybody who has been preparing very seriously for the past 1 year, because this has to be done in the proper way. And if you're from metropolitan cities where the centers have a limited capacity, you have to fill up the form as quickly as possible. So the purpose of this discussion is, first understand vacancies, then the OTR, which will be new for a lot of first timers in that regard. Then I'll tell you how to fill up the form itself. Then we'll talk about the importance of the notification itself in the larger context, mistakes not to be done vis-a-vis filling the form itself, and eligibility. And I'll also talk about certain changes which the UPSC has made and the changes which you can make in the larger context. So this is a very comprehensive session I want to have with you, so that you don't have to go anywhere and you can understand everything in one go itself. So first things first, since 2014 we have been seeing a up-down trend with regards to the number of vacancies which have come, with a time in 2014 with 1291. Last year we had 1105. This time we have 1056. The total number of vacancies have not dropped significantly, is 1056. 1056 vacancies are there, and that way it's a very healthy number. It's a very, very healthy number. So please note, 1000+ vacancies are up for grabs, and that way you should be very, very clear in making sure that you're giving this attempt very, very seriously. So 1056 vacancies. Now, before I go to the form filling process, we need to understand what do you mean by this OTR or one-time registration. I hope that till this point I have established to you the number of vacancies, 1056, and conquer prelims itself. Now, OTR was something which was introduced last year, and it's a very interesting concept. The concept is very simple. See, we tend to give, or certain students tend to give, I hope so that you don't have to, but tend to give this examination over years. For example, 2 attempts, 3 attempts, or you are filling up, for example, civil services examination, you're also filling up forest services. The fact was, every time you had to enter the basic details again, name, gender, father's name, mother's name, which never really changes. So what UPSC did was, it introduced what is called one-time registration, OTR. Under OTR, what happens is, you have to fill this up. And remember this point, if you have given this examination last year, and if you've done OTR, then don't do this step. I will tell you, don't do this step, because you are already registered. For every candidate who has never ever given an examination with UPSC, the first time you're interacting with UPSC, you have to go through OTR, which is one-time registration. Under one-time registration, they will ask you for certain details. I'll show you how, and it will become basically the repository with the UPSC. That okay, there is one person called Abhishek Mishra, and these are his details, and every time he comes and fills up the form, he does not have to give the basic details again. If your email ID and phone number, which you have to give very clearly, if it doesn't change over the years, you can use it to auto-populate the basic details in the form itself. This was started by UPPSC. In UPSC's exam, this was done, but UPSC, with all its vigor, with all its changes, introduced it in 2021-22, but 2023 properly it was done. 2024 it has been forward. But remember one thing, doing the OTR process does not mean you filled the form. You have just given your basic information to the UPSC. That's it. It is a mandatory provision and you have to do it, but filling the OTR does not mean you have filled the form. That is why I am here to make sure that you don't stop at the wrong moment in that regard. So OTR is mandatory one-time registration which has to be done, and it does not mean, as it says, OTR is not an application to any examination. It is just adding details. So for the students who have previously given, understand this point, that OTR you don't have to do. I'll tell you where the difference is. For anybody who's watching this video for the first time, you are totally new to UPSC, or you've been preparing for the past 1 year, but you have never applied, this is a very important step. So let's start the process. Step by step, detailed understanding I will give you. Every form area I will discuss with you. Don't worry in that sense. So go to the UPSC website. First, first aspect. Now we are starting the form filling process. You go to UPSC website, scroll down, and you will find something like this, which is called apply online. Now, previously when you used to apply online, what used to happen was that you used to go to a landscape view in which it used to say fill part 1. But this will not happen this time. What will happen is you will come to this window. And on this window, what you basically have to do is you have to go for this one-time registration for examinations of UPSC. The second option you have to choose. Now, once you've clicked this, you will go to something like this. Now, this is where UPSC has added a step. Now, if you are a student who has already done OTR, then put in your email ID or your mobile number, put in the CAPTCHA and log in. However, for a totally new aspirant, this has to be done by a already registered student. However, for a student who has never ever done OTR, that you would know, you have to click here, which is new registration. By clicking on new registration, you will be taken to this platform. As I said, for anybody who has not done it ever. Now, provide basic information under OTR. Now, every information will be asked twice. Name, have you changed your name ever? Gender, verify gender, date, father's name twice, mother's name twice. Basically, they are asking you to put in your name, father's name, gender, date of birth, basic things, which will never change. As per class 10th, please remember, as per class 10th, it should be the name, not 12th, not graduation, as per class 10th. And therefore, if you have changed your name after 10th, do indicate that. Now, why are they asking twice? Because somebody cannot write the same thing wrong twice, I hope. And therefore, you have to fill it up twice, and you have to make sure that these details are not wrong. So please fill up your name properly, please fill up your gender properly, your date of birth properly, father's name properly. Now, once you have filled this up and you will then submit, it will show you this basic, what we call as window. Whatever name you gave, have you ever changed your name, gender, date of birth, father's name, mother's name, minority status, mobile, alternative mobile, email, and please make sure these two and this is properly filled up, because this is what will go into the repository. So don't give your relative's phone number, please don't do that. Thereafter, what was your roll number in class 10th, so that they have that basic connection. They will also ask you 2 security questions if you forget your one-time password. Now there are 2 options. If you think any of this is wrong, by mistake, you were distracted, somebody distracted you, by mistake you have filled this thing wrong, you can still update and change here. However, once you click I agree, then there is no chance. Then there is no chance. It used to be the case, but UPSC has brought in a new concept, which I will tell you later. But I'm not going to tell you how can you change it right now, because I don't want you to go through that process. It can only be done after 5th March, because the last day to fill this form is 5th March, and from 6th to 12th March, you can change your OTR. But please, we should not do that. No hassle like this. This is not a random paper. The basic serious aspirant, whatever is expected from you is form, at least you will feel right. So this you please properly verify with your eyes, ask your parents to see it, ask your friend to see it, click a picture also, so that if there's issue later, we know it. Once you get this, please make sure you are at least having 2 to 3 people verify this for you. Sometimes you are distracted, you're a serious aspirant, you can be distracted. Please make sure. Agree. Once agreed, now it will show you one-time registration submitted successfully, and your OTR ID will be generated. This OTR ID, I would ask you to note down somewhere, or at least click the picture of this much, so that your OTR ID is with you. Now, basically, this is like an ID which has been attached to you, and whenever you push in the OTR ID, this all detail will automatically fill up. That is the concept of OTR. Now, the problematic aspect here is now your job is done. Now you close this. You close this window and you have to go back to this again. This is where the students who are new and the students who have already filled the form come together. One-time registration already done. You are here. One-time registration, how I taught you have done. Now you come here and you fill in that mobile number. You get the OTP and then fill in the OTP. The CAPTCHA will be added and you log in. So basically, there are two steps. There are two ways. One is a student who is already in OTR. For that student, you straight away log in. For a student who has not done OTR, he does OTR and then log in. So please understand this. I cannot emphasize this enough how important this process is. Now, once you've logged in, it will, if you have not changed your password last time, for an OTR, they will ask you for a new password. Because it was just based on an OTP. Now you have to give a password. Again, remember this password. It will auto-populate what you had filled in the previous section. Now with previous section, auto-population, password. Now finally we reach where we need to be. Now it will say Civil Services Filling Examination 2024. Then it will say year 2024. Notice number, it will say notice date 5th March is the closing date at 6 p.m. Please don't wait till 5th March. And some people have this idea that I will fill it up on a certain auspicious date. And I know students who will basically wait for Mahashivratri. They will wait for certain auspicious. Today is a very auspicious day. It is Saraswati Jayanti. It is Basant Panchami. The point is, for a student who is in Delhi, remember till 5th March, Delhi centers will not be available. So Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, or for example, other Calcutta, metropolitan cities, it very quickly fills up. So don't wait. All days are auspicious. Do this as quickly as possible. Now, what you will do is, you have now an option to update and edit OTR profile if you need to. Don't do it if all details are fine. Now, what you have to do is, you have to click here. Click for part 1. Once you click for part 1, now the form filling process will start and it will give you certain rules and regulations and you will say, yes, I have read it, I know it. Now, this is the form. This is the form. Till this point, you have not filled the form. You have only done OTR, you have reached to the form. Now, what is the beauty of OTR is that this will automatically be populated because this is the detail you gave them. So this will automatically be populated. Name, gender, have you ever changed it? Date of birth, father's name, mother's name, do you belong to minorities, email and mobile number. This you cannot edit. This will be non-editable because you had agreed that OTR profile was fine. If you still think it is problematic, go and update the OTR here. Now, you have to fill in your nationality, Indian, marital status, married, unmarried, or divorced. Thereafter, do you come under the Divyanjan, which is disabled category, community, fee exemption allowed or not. That is specific to your community, that is specific to your minority status. Then select your educational qualification. We already know that graduation is the minimum qualification, so please fill it up. And for example, you've done graduation, BTech or something in a certain stream, you fill that subject. For example, I've done BA Honours History, so I will do Bachelor's in Arts or Bachelor's of Arts History. Then address. Now please, address, a usable address. You can fill in an address. For example, for a student who is in Delhi, you fill in the address and you're preparing a loan. Don't fill in the address of the rented flat. Fill in the address of your parents and that one area where you can get mail and you have somebody to always get India Post or any form of courier or packages. So please make sure that you are filling this up properly. Don't fill in up ancestral Pushtani addresses which make no sense and there is nobody there itself. Permanent address put in, most probably Aadhaar address. The basic point is, please do not fill up addresses on which nobody is there. A very, very, very important point. Now, this will bring you to the next step. When you will do submit, it will say claiming age relaxation, most probably no, and you will continue. This will bring you to the most important section. This is considered the holy grail, the most important section of a form, which is the mains center and GS paper related sections. But before that, there is also one very important section which says number of attempts already made in civil services examination. For a student who has never given any attempt, it is 0. If you've given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and for the love of God, do not write incorrectly. You've given 5 times, you're writing 3 times, UPSC is not a fool. But now the question would be, how do I know how many attempts I have? What is counted as an attempt? What is an attempt? Attempt hota kya? The answer to that question is, see, if you filled the form up maybe last year, 2023, but on the day of the examination, you felt I'm not prepared, and you did not go to the center, you did not give any of the papers, you just filled the form, that is not an attempt. First thing. However, you filled the form, you went to the center, you gave GS paper 1, which is first paper, and you got to know that you're not clearing this examination, and very smartly but foolishly, you did not give GS paper 2 also, and you left. You just gave GS paper 1, which is first paper. CSAT you did not give. Now that is an attempt, because if you go to the exam hall and fill up the attendance sheet QR code, which is that basic MCQ, that QR, if you are filling up that OMR sheet, if the OMR sheet, attendance sheet is filled up, that is counted as an attempt. So for anybody who has not seen the gates of their center and have not entered them, have not sat in one of the papers, that is a 0 attempt, or that attempt is not counted. But if you've been to the center, if you've given either first paper, second paper, then you will be counted, or that is counted as 1 attempt. So if you've given the examination in either of the papers, because there are certain students, what they do is they go into GS paper 1, they know they're not clearing, they will go back home. Who will wait for 2 hours? That is counted as an attempt. Don't think that UPSC again is dumb. 0 attempt only if you filled the form, did not give the exam in any way or form. If you went to any stage of the examination, prelims, mains, interview, that is all counted as an attempt. So please be very clear about this. I cannot emphasize this enough. We get a lot of emails. I get a lot of messages about this. What is an attempt? So I told you what is an attempt. Now comes this section, which is the concept of what should be your center for civil services. M means mains. Now basically in the prelims exam or the prelims forms itself, UPSC asks you for your mains center. It is not asking for your prelims examination center. Mains examination center, this should always be filled up again in consultation with your parents. It could be, because this list is much shorter. It is only in big cities, and you should, for example, you live in Delhi and there is no option of Delhi, but you have Ghaziabad, then it's okay. But you live in Delhi and you fill in, for example, Bangalore, then that would be problematic. So please make sure that you are asking your guardians, asking your parents, or if you travel alone, that you can go to that city and stay for 5 to 6 days, because mains examination will be over 6 to 7 days. So please be clear what you are filling here, which is Civil Services Examination Mains Center. Yes, I know that you have not cleared prelims right now, but they're already asking you what is your main center going to be. Now you filled up, for example, Delhi here. Now comes a very interesting section which confuses a lot of students. What is this section? It says after you have told them the percentage of graduation level, also how much percentage you got, it was just above that number of written questions. It will ask you language medium for examination for paper 1 to 4. 1 to 4 basically means the essay paper, the papers related to GS, and therefore it is asking you with which language you will basically I'll show it to you here, with which language are you going to write the GS papers, generic ones. the generic GS papers which you are going to do. GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4 and essay. So it is asking 1 to 5. 5 papers, essay plus the 4 GS papers. What language you are going to write in? Now here it will show you English plus the 8 scheduled languages, which are all the national languages of India, and mostly students fill up English. Now why am I telling you this? Because this will indicate what language you will use for optional. I'll give you a very good example. So I was asked the first question, center for examination, that was Delhi. Then I filled up language medium for examination and I filled in English. Now it will ask you, what is the optional you want to choose? Again, please be very clear, this section cannot be changed in DAF 1 or in DAF 2. DAF 1 and DAF 2 are basically the forms you fill after you clear prelims examination, DAF 1, and once you clear mains, DAF 2. You cannot change your optional. So whatever optional is indicated, for me, for example, it will be history. I cannot change it till I don't fill up the form in 2025. So history I indicate. Now once I've indicated history, so in this I filled up Delhi, in this I filled up English. Now I pushed in history. Now what is interesting is, now it will ask you in what language you want to write your optional subject, because there's a very interesting way, very interesting way in which UPSC operates. See, if you've indicated English here, this is the first case. If you have indicated English here, it will only show English here, which is the language medium for optional. This is for optional. Paper 6 and 7 optional. This was your mains, GS paper 1 to 4 and essay. So you had filled English. Now it will only show you English here. However, for example, you are very comfortable in writing in Dogri. So you will write that for essay plus GS papers, I will use Dogri. But now optional, you can still write in English or Dogri, what is indicated here. So optional, there are a lot of students who ask me, can I write optional in a different language and GS papers in different languages? Yes. GS papers can be written in Hindi, but optional can be written in English. That option will be there. But if GS paper is written in English, then you can only write in English. This is the first case. Again, an example, I filled in Marathi for GS papers. So it is showing me English and Marathi. So this is a way UPSC allows you to write. Please understand, essay and GS paper 1 to 4 can be written in one language, and that could be not English, and your optional can be written in a different language also. If it is written English here, then it will only show English. If you've written Hindi here, it will show English and Hindi. So basically for optional, you get two options, which is either you can do the language in which you are writing the GS papers or English. I hope you are understanding this clearly. When I used to fill up the form, when a lot of our students to fill up the form, we did not have this access to information, and therefore we have this way in which we've checked it. This is basically to make sure that you don't mess this form up. So one of the toppers, what she did was that she put in Hindi here and she put in English here. But then she realized that she had to put English here again. So she had to give the first attempt of the examination in Hindi only. Then she gave it in English. So be very, very clear. Be very, very clear. Civil Services Center should be totally correct. First. Second, what is your language medium? For mains, it should be either English or any of the languages you are comfortable in. Then choose your optional wisely. And then last but not the least, the aspect related to what language you will use for an optional also. Then comes a very generic question. If you hail from Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland and Sikkim, then you don't have to give Indian language paper. You are exempted from it because English is already been tested in one of the qualifying papers. But if you are not from Arunachal, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim, there will be a new option which will automatically emerge, which is, if no, select the language for paper A. So paper A, I will tell you what is this paper also. I will discuss the syllabus with you. In this, you have to choose one of the Indian languages, the 8 schedule languages in that regard. So I hope that you will also choose this wisely. English, remember, English and Indian language paper are qualifying. For a Northeast student, only English is qualifying. Then essay, GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4 have to be written in one specific language. Optionals can be written in that same language or a separate language you want to indicate for. And remember, if you're not from the state, do not say no. Do not say no or yes. You should be from the state. You need to have domicile certificate for that. That can be asked at a later stage. So please don't be too smart and you're not from the state and you're still putting it. Don't do that. So this is the most difficult part of this form. And I've tried to give you as comprehensive as understanding as possible. I'll again try to repeat myself later when I've gone through the whole process. Now, finally, you will submit the form. Once you will submit the form, now it will say 2024 here, 2024 here. It will say registration ID, and this is part 1 complete. Now, please be very, very clear. Your form is still not fully filled up. This is only part 1 complete, and your prelims center of examination has not been still filled in. A lot of students stop here. You will keep on getting messages from the UPSC that part 1 had been filled, but now there's one more part, which is part 2. To fill up the part 2, you have to go back to this page again. You have to again log in. And you have to now see, it will show in green, view part 1. Now part 1 is done. But it will show part 2 registration. Please don't miss this step, which is give the fees, upload your photo and select the center for your examination. And when you will click on pay the fees, it will show you something like this. Don't try to take challan. SBI, UPI, SBI net banking works. Everybody is doing digital transactions. You can do that. Now you see here, first part is done, second part is payment, photos you have to upload, and then in the end it will show you select center for prelims. So the center which you had indicated previously was for mains. Now you are basically agreeing to a declaration and center should be filled up, and once that will be done, then your form is complete. Now again I'm repeating the process for anybody who has joined in between or was not with us from the beginning. Please be very, very clear how it has to be done. Please understand, this is where you have to come up. If you are not a student who has filled up the OTR last year, then you have to click new registration and go through the process of filling up these details and submitting it and getting your one-time registration done. If you have already done it last year, fill in that email ID, get the OTP and verification code. If you remember the password, please remember the password. It will be with you forever. Then log in. Once you've logged in, if it is the first time, it will ask you to generate 2 passwords. If it is not your first time, it will ask for the password itself. Thereafter, you will get this type of a transaction, this type of a window itself. In this part 1, you have to fill up. Then in part 1, yes, then auto-populated because of the aspect related to OTR. Then all of this is basic details, should properly fill it up, no wrong information. Then no, most probably claiming age relaxation. This is where the real make and break is there. Center for mains, what language you will use for in essay plus GS paper 1, 2, 3, 4. What is your optional subject? What is the language you will write your optional in? And if you hail from these states, then you don't have to give the Indian language paper. If you don't, you have to. And remember, choose this wisely because you may have to travel and stay 5 to 6 days there in that regard. Further, if there is a confusion, can I play with the languages? Sure. If you have indicated English, it will only show English. If you have indicated an Indian language, it can show you English and Indian language. But my basic suggestion to you would be, please don't do this. Try to be uniform. If you're writing in English, English. If you're writing in Dogri, Dogri. Marathi, Marathi. Don't try to make it a certain hodgepodge. It will only make your process much more difficult in that sense. Then last but not the least, what is the Indian language paper which you have to qualify if you're not from Arunachal, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland and Sikkim. And last but not the least, part 1 complete. Part 2, pay the fee. Then photo sign. Now for photo sign, there has been a change. I'll show you that change. For the photograph, they are now basically asking it like CBSE asks for it. The photograph should not be more than 10 days old from the online application process. This is a very important notification change or a very important concept or something which UPSC has indicated very properly. A lot of students, what happens is they are in BA Honours and they will upload their 12th class, 8th class, 6th class photos. So UPSC says your photo should look like you. So please, it's not 10 days, at least the latest photo you've clicked. A lot of students, when you look at their photo on the form and look at them, they look different only. So it would be like me filling up a form with my photo from 10th class. Nobody will ever be able to basically identify me. So don't do that. Use a latest picture. Second, now this is very important. Name of candidate and date at which this photograph was taken needs to be mentioned. So now what is happening is, if it's a passport size photograph, 3/4 of the photograph should be till here, should be my face. Now, near me, where my chest is, you have to put in, you have to get it edited or you put it yourself, the name of the candidate and the date at which, not date of birth, date on which this photograph was taken. Basically, UPSC is most probably expecting you, if today is 14th, it should be 1st February, 2nd February, 3rd February. So please be very clear that this may lead to your application getting stuck later. This is a new change, should know, very, very important. Photograph now needs name and date in that sense. This was something which was done as a best practice, but was not made mandatory by UPSC in that sense. But now it is mandatory to do it. Now, last date is 5th March 2024. The second part of this discussion is over. 5th March 2024, 6 p.m. Please don't wait till that point. But be very, very clear about 3 things. There are these basic mistakes which students make. Fill part 1 up, then they don't fill up part 2. Don't do that. Until unless it says the UPSC application is successful, part 1 and part 2 completed in message form, don't stop. Look for it. If there's any issue, you come back to this video and see where you have messed up. Second, no blurry images and signatures. Please, this is the one, basically you have been putting in so much effort for this examination. Don't randomly put any picture. Then wrong number of attempts. This is a offense. You can be debarred from the examination if you're giving wrong information. And last but not the least, would not kill you to have a friend or a parent or somebody to cross-check every step. It will help you only and will make you confident about the exam. So this part of this discussion, and I've taken close to 35 minutes, this part of this discussion was for anybody who's filling the form for the first time. If you're filling for the second time, make sure you're not doing these mistakes. Now let's discuss certain changes and certain things which have happened. First thing, I've already told you that it is now very, very clear that you have to upload the name of candidate and date. But that's very interesting, and this I didn't want to tell my students, but to be very clear, if by mistake OTR profile details are wrong, you did not realize it by 5th March also. For example, you filled up today and you realized it on 5th March that my form, there is a detail wrong. Now UPSC has been kind enough for the first time properly with a notification that between 6th to 12th March, which is exactly 7 days after the last date of filling the form, you can make certain corrections in the field. You can make certain corrections, you can make certain corrections in the OTR details, not in other aspects that I will change my mains place. No. Only in OTR details, which is name, date of birth, father, mother, the basic details. That this facility was not properly provided. It was given later, but it has been now basically indicated in the prelims notification itself. But please don't count on this. You don't want to go through this process. But now if you by mistake, you fill up it today, after 1 month you realize, oh, some mistake, then by 12th March you can update that. And basically you will not be allowed to withdraw their application at this point of time, and you should have one photo ID card whilst doing that. So please be very clear about this in that sense. Modifications is the no with regards to these things. Don't do it if not needed. Then this you already know. Now comes eligibility, where a lot of students again basically are very confused, and you have to again be very, very clear. It's a very simple concept. I'll go through the eligibility criteria with you properly. Now, first is nationality. For 99.9% of anybody who's watching this video, you are a citizen of India, and therefore this issue should not be there. However, Nepal, Bhutan and Tibetan refugees and certain Indian origin people who had migrated from certain areas, they also can fill up the form. They're not eligible for certain services. For Indian IAS, for IFS, Indian Foreign Service, and Indian Police Service, IPS, you have to be a citizen of India. This should not be a problem for most of you, 99.9%. If there's any issue, you can always reach out to us. If you fall in these categories, we'll sort it out for yourself. We'll sort it out with you. Don't worry. So that is not a problem. Then comes age. Age is something where students basically confuse themselves, but it's very easy. See, for a general candidate, you should have attained 21 years minimum and maximum 32. Now, on which date is this 21 calculated? See, you should be 21 on 1st August 2024, meaning 1st August 2024 onwards or before it, and 32 on 1st August 2024. Basically, 1st August 2024, your date should be 21 and should not be more than 32. This is the concept. It basically, and what UPSC does, it qualifies. It says the candidate must have been born not earlier than 2nd August 1992 and not earlier than 1st August 2003. So basically for age limit, higher limit, please understand, I could, for example, my age, and I'm giving you a very simple example for students who get confused. My birthday comes on, for example, 15 September 1992. My age is 15 September 1992. This is my date of birth. Now, I'm going to become 33 on that date. I'm going to become 33 on that date. But interestingly, on 1st August 2024, I will still be 32 only. Because on 15 September 1992, I will become 33. So on 1st August 2024, I am 32 years and certain amount of days. So basically, even though I'm going to become 33 this year, I will still be eligible to give the examination because I'm still counted as 32. This is where the UPSC is very clear that 1st August is the date which is counted. So please be very, very clear that your birthday should not be before 2nd August 1992, and your birthday should be after 1st August 2003. Then only you're 21 and 32. This is for general candidate. Thereafter, there are certain age relaxations. The upper limit or maximum, there is up to maximum 5 years of relaxation, meaning 32 plus 5, belonging to SC and ST, which is scheduled caste and scheduled tribe communities. Up to maximum of 3 years in the case of candidate belonging to OBC. So basically, it is 32 plus 3 for OBC. I'll write it with the correct pen itself so that there's no issue. 32 plus 3 for OBC and 32 plus 5 for SC/ST. And please understand, EWS does not get age relaxation, because they are considered within general category itself. For EWS, there is no age relaxation generally. Age relaxation is for OBC, is for SC/ST. Then there is defense personnel, there's ex-servicemen, and there are other criteria. Again, if you fall in C, D, and 1, 2, or E, you please contact us. We'll sort it out with you if you're eligible or not. That is totally That is why we are here for 5 times 85. You call us, we will sit with you on a video call and we'll sort it with you. But the basic point is 5 plus 5 for SCST plus 3 for OBC. Please be very clear. So again, calculate according to 1st August only. Then minimum educational qualification. Now UPSC has not indicated exactly what degree they want from you. They just say must hold a graduate degree of a university incorporated by the center, the state, or education institutions under the Act of Parliament, deemed as a university under Section 3 of UGC, or possesses an equivalent qualification. Here mostly UPSC is very open. Just make sure that if you're going to a college, if you are in a central and state university or deemed to be university, it should not be a problem. But for deemed to be university students, just ask your administration if you are under Section 3 of UGC. That right you have to ask your college in that regard. So graduate degree, then state center, state and center, what is called a central university and state university should not be a problem. Now, one more very important thing, every degree has a certain amount of graduation time. For example, if you're doing BA Honours, previously it used to be 3 years. Now with new course, it is 4 years in Delhi University and other central universities. For example, BTech, it is 4 years. But if you're doing BA LLB, it would be 5 years. Now, please be very clear. It can't be that I'm doing BA LLB and after 4 years I'm eligible. No. You should have that degree with you in your hand. So if you are doing a BA Honours, if you are doing a BA LLB, for example, or a BA, whatever it may be, more than, if you're doing, for example, MBBS, 5 years. If you are doing something like that, MBBS is the master, the basic point is, the concept is your degree should be graduation degree. It takes 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, doesn't matter. MBBS and BA LLB people are the ones who actually get caught up here because the 5 years program is there. So you are not automatically eligible at 3 years or 4 years. You will only be eligible when the last examination has happened and you are expecting a result. For the students, again, very important question. For the students who are 3rd year, 4th year, 5th year, if you're appearing in the exam, and your exam result will come or can come before mains examination result will come, then you can sit. So for example, in Delhi University, the exam happens in the period of May to June and the result comes by July. So you are eligible. But for some universities, for example, the exam for the last semester happens in September and you will get the result in December. Then don't fill the form. Because what will happen is your result for your graduation is coming after DAF 1 and DAF 2 form has been filled up. Then what will happen is you've wasted your attempt and you've cleared prelims, but you can't sit for the examination. So basically the concept is on the day of sitting for your mains paper, the qualifying papers, you should have your degree in your hand so that you can fill it up in your DAF 1 form. So be very clear for appearing students. Please be very clear. If you are getting your degree and result even, if you're getting your last semester or whole result, your proper CGPA for all 5 years, 3 years or 4 years, on and before the mains examination, then you can sit for the examination. Please remember this. Then further, number of attempts. Again, a very standard question which comes in the queries we get. There are total number of 6 permitted to general category. Thereafter, SCST, there is an unlimited number of attempts you can go for. OBC is 9. And for physically, what we call as physically handicapped Divyangjan, there is certain relaxations under for 9 years and unlimited for SCST. Basically, your category applies on this also. So be very clear, 6 years, you only need 1. Doesn't matter if it is unlimited, 9 or 6, 1. Simple 1. Sit with us, we'll get it sorted. Thereafter, what I've established now, eligibility, the concept of vacancies, 1056, how to fill the form. Now, the last discussion I want to have with you is what does the notification say and why is it important to read the notification properly? Because half of the students will fill the form and throw away the notification. No. Everything is indicated in the notification itself. And in that context, please be very clear that all syllabi are indicated in the plan of the examination, which is in the notification. So read the notification also properly. So it very simply says this is the scheme of the examination. Prelims, mains and personality test, total number of marks 2025 marks. Now prelims examination, you have GS paper 1 which is counted, 2 compulsory papers, but GS paper 1 is counted, CSAT is qualifying, and this level, the prelims level, is not counted for merit. You will not get your rank or your service based on prelims marks. Prelims in that sense is qualifying. Once you clear it, you are eligible to write mains. That is the only part. So you can get 190 out of 200 in GS paper 1, but still it will not be counted here. In 2025, it is not counted. In 2025, what is counted is the GS papers and your optional with personality test. You have 2 papers, paper A and paper B. Paper B is compulsory for everybody, qualifying. Paper A is Indian language if you're not from the northeastern states. This is also qualifying. These are the papers which are added to basically make the merit. You will have essay paper 250 marks, then 250 marks, four papers. GS paper 1, GS paper 2, GS paper 3, GS paper 4, and then 2 optional papers 250, 500 marks. And therein optional is so important that it can make and break, and you have 275 marks. So basically the mains examination total number of marks is 1750, 275 for personality test. If you have already done very well in your mains, there's nobody who can stop you from getting a rank and getting a service if you've managed your interview personality test okayish or wellish. In that sense, 2025 marks. So this is the basic scheme. So remember, prelims is only for qualifying to write mains. It is not added to merit, and here these 2 are qualifying papers, just have to qualify. This is where the marks are counted, 250 into 6 papers, 4 GS papers and 7 papers, 1 essay plus 4 GS plus 2 what we call as optional. Now what is the syllabus? That is why we are here, that is why this discussion is so important. The syllabus for prelims is indicated in the vaguest form possible. That is why Sarmat sir and we all call it the unpredictable public services, because the prelims examination, simple, straightforward. It says current events of national and international importance, basically anything. Then history of India and Indian national movement. Beautiful. History of India is everything. And in that, Indian national movement is indicated, and that is why in the prelims examination, this is where students actually don't understand. They get caught up in social religious reform movement, peasant and tribal, but Indian national movement, which is basically 1885 onwards, when the formation of INC happens, after that the questions are more, because that is more clearly defined in the syllabus. So please be very important. And here it says national and international. So international relations, that way becomes important. Again, student thinks only India pertaining. No. What is happening in Russia, Ukraine, what is happening in Israel is also important in that sense. Then you have Indian and world geography. Physical, social, economic geography of India and the world. So again, not very well defined, but the basic contours are there. Indian polity and governance, constitution, political system, panchayati raj, public policy, rights issues, etc. Meaning everything, but these are things out of which PRIs and all are very important, very well indicated in that sense. Economic and social development, sustainable development, poverty, inclusion, demographic, social sector, initiatives, etc. Basically government schemes. So it is again indicated, again vague, etc. means everything in that sense. General issues of environment, ecology, biodiversity, climate change. That does not require subject specialization. Basically, you don't need to be a master's in environment, but you should have understanding. Last but not the least, general science. Now, this is considered one of the vaguest. But with proper guidance, you can figure this out also. There's a certain pattern. That is why prelims fundamentals, that is why previous year paper analysis, that is why current affairs analysis in that sense. This is the qualifying paper called CSAT. As it says, paper 2 of civil services prelims examination will be qualifying paper with minimum qualifying marks fixed at 33%. Now here, comprehension, communication skills, logical reasoning, decision making, general mental ability, basic numeracy. 3 parts you basically divide this paper into. One is comprehension, other is called logical reasoning, and the last is called mathematical reasoning. Out of that, you will get 80 questions. Mostly, if you can manage any two, you will qualify. But there have been multiple horror stories in which paper 1 very well, 120, 140 did not qualify paper 2. So CSAT equally important, should be studying that in that sense. Thereafter, this is where I just want to also talk about mains. That is why this is the importance of the notification. If you read the notification properly, it gives you the syllabus of your optional also and of all the GS papers. So the qualify Indian and English language paper, these are the following type of questions which will be asked. So you should be practicing this also both in English and in Hindi or any other language which you are going to write the Indian language paper for. Comprehension, précis writing, vocabulary, short essays. So it is important. And the same for Indian languages. This is something which students ignore and you should not be not qualifying this. It's a crime. So please make sure that you are practicing this also. Then comes the GS paper 1, 2 or the paper 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the basic syllabuses. So paper 1 is basically essay. Essay, nowadays if you've seen the essays generally it is vague, it is open-ended, but for essay you don't have to specifically prepare. The more you will study GS, the more you will understand UPSC, the more you will understand the course, you will be better equipped to write essays in that sense. 2 essays you have to write. Thereafter, GS paper 2. This is basically history and geography and with certain sections of society. So it has Indian heritage, culture, history, geography of India and society. In this, you will get 2 to 6 questions out of art and culture plus modern. Then you have geography questions, and then you can have 2 to 3 questions up to 5 from society. Mix and match it happens. But why am I telling you to go through this? Because what is ironic is whatever has been written here, UPSC asks one question from each of the written thing for sure. They basically open up the syllabus and make the mains examination question paper. So what is there? For example, they will give you one question on literature, they will give you one question on architecture, they will give you one question on role of women and women's organization. This happens, which is that they follow this syllabus very properly and you need to also. Further, for example, governance, constitution, polity, social justice, international relations. This is the most dynamic paper, because not as dynamic as GS paper 3, which is what we call as economy and science and technology one, but because international relations keeps on changing and polity and governance and constitution, you have a lot of changes which happens in acts. This is where you have to have a comprehensive understanding. But again, UPSC will always ask one question from constitution, they will ask a question from separation of power, maybe tangential for something, but they will ask questions out of these areas only. Same is true for GS paper 3, wherein technology, economic development, biodiversity, environment, security, disaster. This is the most dynamic. Here again, everything which has been indicated, they try to ask a question out of that area. That is why understanding and realizing that the notification is equally important is very, very important. And last but not the least, this paper is followed by the paper which is specific to mains, which is ethics. Here you have to start early. One section is called the case study section and the other one is basically the concepts of ethics and the theory part. You have to make sure that you're doing this as quickly as possible in your preparation and you become a proper, you have certain understanding to it, and thereafter, after prelims, once you've cleared prelims, you will go into full-blown GS paper 4. So, with this, before I end the session, I want to have a very small discussion with you, which is that this is the prelims cutoff. And if you look at it, 88, 87, 92, 98, 98, 105, if you go, this year paper 1 and 2 both were added. If you go by 2015 onwards, there is a declining trend, which means that the paper is becoming more and more harder. But this also means that if you can manage 50-60% in prelims, you are getting through. So don't have to be worried in no way or form. And therein lies the discussion which I did in the beginning, which is Conquer Prelims 2024. This will be indicated to you very soon when all of these programs will start. Prelims fundamentals, 100 out of each of the subjects taken from science and technology, economy, geography, society, history, prelims, international relations and internal security and polity by Sarmat sir, we will be covering 100 topics relevant for the examination, free on YouTube for you, and that will start maybe within the next 2 to 3 days. Then you have the previous year question paper marathon. This will be for every subject 10 years. And last but not the least, the most awaited crash course will also come within the next 20 to 30 days, and we will make sure your static, previous year questions and current affairs is properly covered. With this, I hope that you liked the session. I hope that you found the session useful. If you're not with me live, you may be watching it later. Please make sure, read the notification properly, fill up the form properly. Thank you so much for being here. Take care and fill up the form properly. All the best. And we at Unacademy wish you all the best. All of us believe in you. You should believe in yourself. Thank you. Take care and bye-bye.